Good morning. Today we will discuss about Power BI in a nutshell. The idea behind of the presentation is to understand the overall steps on Power BI. Start from your data to till your dashboard for publishing PBI services. So what I did here is that I given a number 1 to 10. If you see this diagram, it starts with your source, means your data, your data file format. What is it? Whether it is a flat file or a database, and that would be our first step. And the second step is nothing but the data from the source. How we are extracting the data from the source into our Power BI. And the third step is nothing but identifying the tables via the subject. Let's say customer is a table, product is a table, time is a table, and so on. The step number four, you can see relationship. What if we have more than one table? Let's say in our data warehousing scenario, we have dimension and fact. Think about if you have multiple dimensions and fact, we do have different kinds of schema. The preferable schema is star schema. With the star schema, the fact table has a centralized which is surrounded by the dimension, and they are related between dimension and fact as one to many. That constitute the step number four. And step number five is nothing but shape your data. After you are identifying your dimension fact and relationship, you need to identify, is there any loop or is there any trap which involved in your model. So the step number five is predominantly what are all the operations or transformations that you are supposed to do with the Power Query, and that constitute your shape. So after you identified and you resolved all this issue, and the data is accuracy to develop a visualization or a chart. So where you supposed to do all your shape your data in terms of not null, in terms of null, you need to identify whether it's a null, it should be handle it in a way, and you can do a grouping, and you can sort it, and you can format it with the numbers or dollars or anything else. You can do it with shaping with Power Query. And not only that, you can restrict your data with the parameter, and you can make your connection with a parameter so that you can select the appropriate development test or prod. So everything you can handle with the shape your data using Power Query. And step number six, that tells you model your data where it actually began. After you done all your data cleansing and no error with regard to that, any ambiguity with relationship between dimension and fact, and you guaranteed that the model is, the shape of the data model is good enough to create a report or a visualization or a chart, or designing the dashboard and building the dashboard. So shape your data with Power Query. So after then, once we start this reporting or a chart, then you can make use of the existing measure, the raw measure, make use of that. You can use a DAX and you can model your data furthermore, or you can enrich your data based on your selection or a filter on the report. The report needs to show the appropriate values or the expected values to the report, all which comes under model your data. Let's say an user make use of a time period. Based on the time period, with the selections of, you can able to see the current year data, the previous year data, the same year, current year, the same year, last year, like the time period, all these operations, all these calculations we can make use of with a single DAX with the available function. Only what we need is we need to get the time and we need to roll out or an aggregate to appropriate time period. All this thing that we supposed to do with the model your data. Then comes after you created your calculations or measures, whether you can decide where you can have the calculations in Power Query, or else you can have the calculations in using DAX. And you need to decide that here where you can place your data. That it is our responsibility how we can keep our calculations in Power Query or make use of with the DAX, that we need to think based on our, we need to design based on our requirement. And the seventh step is nothing but I mentioned as V1, which is called a visualization. You can create any of the visualization bar chart, pie chart, donut, and so on from this visualization here. And the dashboard layout is nothing but collections of visualization. I mentioned four visualization, V1 to V4, so that I can select one visualization bar and other visual donut and other visualization tree map and other visualization stack bar chart, like that. This dashboard layout not only stop with your visualization, it also need to configure the selection of your parameter or a slicer together with a slicer and your visualization, that forms your dashboard design that we illustrated in step number 9. And after that we will have a multiple tab that constitute our dashboard, our completion of our dashboard. So that we mentioned here in step number 3. On top of that, we mentioned our PBA service app.powerbi.com/home, where you design your dashboard and you will be publishing to PBI services. If you see that the step number 1 to 10, the first three are your part of your prepare your data, and the step number 4, 5, 6, that constitute your shape and model, and step number 7 to 10, that constitute your design and publish. So we mentioned that in a three category of prepare, shape and model, and design and publish. So we'll think about with 1 to 10 the same way how best our report optimized or our report performance can be determined with this 10 step. And you can see this, and you can see this, the step number, the navigation to Power BI, which is nothing but as we mentioned the same step number 1 to 10. You can see 1 to 3 and 4 to 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the three categories what we discussed before. With regard to first 1 to 3, you will have source data table, relationship, shape data, model data, chart selection, dashboard layout, dashboard design, publishing to PBA services. See what if you are using some of you're doing some calculations, let's say metrics as unit into quantity, right? So that constitute your the revenue, quantity or a revenue or a sales. So if you're doing sales in your sales into unit or a quantity into unit, so what where you supposed to place the calculations? Either you can do the calculation power query with the sumx, or else you can do the same calculation at the back end with these fields, so that you will have only one column that is aggregated. The aggregation is done at the base, that is the database, instead of you are calculating the same thing with the help of sumx in Power Query, or else you can do it with the help of this DAX query. Think about it, the performance and the time it took to render in your visualization. Always, if you're close at the data source in terms of your calculations or any kind of an operations, if you handle at the max from the source, the better your dashboard are. So that keeping in mind, we segregated this in the scale of 1 to 10. So that determines if you do a calculation of the model, and if you do the calculation prior step 5, it is always doing the calculation step 5 is greater than the model your data on step 6, because if you see how close with regard to the source, the 5 is so close to step number 1 than 6 is close to step number 1. By seeing with the number itself, we can easily identify how close your operations are they, how close the source data source itself, that determines your performance. And also on shape your data, you can see you can see here what it actually require. You can see on shape your data, it requires a lot of things actually. You need to be well versed on the UI front, and you need to more good enough to be a power query guy. You need to understand the mquery functions, and you need to understand all the codings to get you more familiar on that. On DAX also, you should have very good knowledge on that. You need to have a very good kind of guide to code very well, understand the DAX function, so that that will be help you a lot in designing or developing a dashboard. So this is the idea we would like to discuss. We would like to give a presentation
Two two.
on this. Thank you.